So when you start looking into marketing strategies, when you try to grow your practice by getting more patients, there is a lot of misconception out there. There's a lot of, it could be data overwhelm for you. So in this video, what I wanted to do was break down the most popular strategies. I want to tell you about what people are doing, what practices are doing to actually grow, misconceptions about them, what people are doing that don't necessarily work as well, yet the approach we take is to do it just because everyone else is doing. And I want to show you some strategies that just don't work at all. And also finally, a strategy that works better than everyone else, but it's going to take a bit of consistency and a lot of time to actually build this asset. So let's get into it. But real quick, I own a marketing agency myself. We have about 7 agencies and about a dozen clients, almost all in the dental industry. So what we do is we focus on strategies that actually work, and I try to educate my clients on what doesn't work, because they will receive a lot of information from people who are selling things that they come back to me about, and I have to explain that, hey, this might not be the best strategy for you, and here's why. So I thought I would share this video with you so that you can kind of get the advantages that my clients have, and realize or make the decisions for yourself for what strategies that you want to take. All right, so let's start with actually SEO, because this is such a prevalent and common approach to growing a new practice. My thesis for this, my conclusion, is going to be that SEO doesn't work the way it did. And there's a lot of debate on this, but hopefully you'll understand why this is the case, and why you shouldn't focus so much on the traditional SEO. And then I'll talk more a bit about local SEO, which is very different. It has the word SEO in it as well. But this is going to be very different from SEO, as I'll show you in a second here. So how does SEO work? The concept of SEO is very simple. Someone does a search on Google, so let's say this is the search bar, and they search something like dentist near me. Now, the goal is to target high intent keywords like dentist near me. It doesn't make sense to target a keyword like how much money does dentists make. Sure, it might be someone interested in dentistry, but it might be the wrong audience. Now it might be like a undergrad student looking into dentistry, or something like, can I eat popcorn with braces? Right? If you're an orthodontist, if you rank #1 for that and you show up, it doesn't really mean that they're going to be a patient. In fact, it probably means they already have braces. And they could also be searching from a completely different location. Like if you're on the West Coast, they might be on the East Coast searching for this. So it doesn't really make sense, like there's a mismatch there. So what we really care about is high intent and also qualification. So does it indicate that they're looking for the service that you provide? And does it indicate that they're qualified to become a patient of yours? Is what you provide an actual need for them? Based on what they're searching. So that's the idea behind SEO, and the goal was to get into the top 3 positions when it comes to someone searching this. So if you were in these top 3 spots, it was very good for you. You made a lot of money, and you were able to get the attention. You were able to get the top 3 spots for a generic keyword, and everything was good. And if you were below the top 3 spots, so let's say you're 4, 5, or 6, this was considered losers back in the day. Basically, it meant that if you were here, SEO wasn't paying off, you're likely losing money paying the SEO agency, and you weren't seeing virtually any results in these positions. And why is this? Well, it's because the top 3 positions would get around 80 to 90% of the traffic coming in. So if you were in the bottom bottom, well, not bottom three, but like if you were anywhere outside of that, you were basically fighting for scraps. You were fighting for 10 to 20% of people who were searching for a dentist near them. So what happened? Why do I believe that SEO is not a valid strategy anymore? Well, how do you rank better? What is the process of improving and getting to the top? Let's say if you're a position 4, what would you have to do in order to push yourself up? Well, the approach and the way to do it was by getting content plus backlinks. And if you ever talked with an SEO agency, they might have referenced it like this, or they might have called it on-page SEO and off-page SEO. So what that basically means is on-page, the content actually on your website, does it match what the user is searching? If not, you have to create content that matches it, that Google can see and say, okay, this content is relevant to this. But now everyone can have content, but what's going to determine where you rank on this is going to be through backlinks. And backlinks is basically online trust. If a lot of websites basically have a link on their website, and if someone clicks on that link, comes to your website, if there's a lot of that, Google can look at those links and say, okay, since there's a lot of websites pointing at this website, that must mean this website, your website, is trustworthy. And if other websites can trust it, then I, as Google, am confident that I can show your content to someone who is searching for that content. Versus another person who has that same content, but no other websites are pointing to it, then Google can say, okay, great, they have the same content, but not many people trust it, so I don't know if I can trust this website to show to my users either. And so you're likely to go a bit further down. So this was the strategy that you would have to take to get an advantage with traditional SEO. So what happened? What happened was that people started abusing this as soon as they figured out this little equation here. And so they would create more content, dozens and dozens of pages, hyper-specific to every single possible keyword that someone could search on Google. All right, so that was step one. They just spammed content. And number two was they just created a ton of backlinks, right? It wasn't backlinks that were earned anymore. It wasn't other websites saying, oh, this is a good and trustworthy website, let's link to them. This became a whole industry. It became a whole marketplace where you could go into and start purchasing backlinks for anywhere between $1 to $50 to maybe $300 if you wanted a backlink from a reputable source like the Wall Street Journal or something. So as this strategy of improving the ranks of SEO started being abused, we saw these symptoms of it. And you likely see that symptom as an advantage that you could potentially have today, but it's not possible. So what I mean by that is, for example, let's say, and this was a very common thing. So I live in La Habra. So let's say I search dentist in La Habra. What would happen was the first results, or even the first 3 results, would be people in totally different cities. They were other, like maybe 3 cities away, a 45-minute drive. And because they were able to abuse this so well, they started showing up. So now when I went to Google and tried to look for a dentist near me, or dentist near La Habra or wherever, I was getting results that were for dentists not near me. And so what happened were users got frustrated with Google's search engine results, and they would use things like Yelp. Because what was Yelp? Yelp was all about locality. Yelp was, you could search, you could put the pin on you, and there would be a map that shows up, and you could see where all the businesses were. So Yelp solved the problem of SEO, and that's why they're a business themselves. They solved the problem of SEO, this issue that came as a result of SEO strategy. All right, so Google saw this, and they're like, okay, this thing is giving our users such a bad experience that they're going to Yelp. And so they basically gutted it. Now, if you want to get an advantage on Google, you pay Google for ads or you get more reviews. Those are the two only strategies that you have for getting any SEO results. So in comes local SEO. And local SEO comes in right around 2016 to about 2018. All right, and this was the evolution of this thing called Google Maps or Google Places or Google Business Profile, Google My Business, right there. They've gone through a lot of iterations. What did local SEO do and how did it basically kill traditional SEO? All right, let me show you visually how that happened. So recall that if you weren't up here and if you were down here, you were basically considered a loser. Like, not you as a loser, but you know, your strategy was a loser. Now, what Google did was, this was traditionally how the search engine results page looked, but from 2016 to around 2018, they introduced this thing called Google Maps. Back then it was called Google Map Pack, now it's called Google Places. So check it out yourself. Try pausing the video and do a search on Google and do one that indicates that you're looking for a business near you, like a local business. So something like restaurants near me, dentist near me, or even like dentist Fullerton, best dentist near me. Anything that indicates that you're searching for something in a specific location, it's going to trigger this Google Places. If you search for something generic that isn't location specific, something like, can I eat popcorns with braces? Then you're not going to trigger this and you're going to see the traditional search results. But yeah, remember, the whole point of SEO was two things. It was intent and also qualification. Can they even become a patient of yours? And location is a very big qualifier. So we care about local SEO now. We don't care about traditional SEO. Now, so local SEO brings you Google Places, and then down here are going to be the traditional SEO results. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you were number one for traditional SEO in the past, well, guess what? Now you're pushed down here to number one in SEO, in traditional SEO, with everyone who is doing local SEO beating you. All right, and so now what was considered a loser, even if you're in the top 3 position, you're always going to be considered a loser. Again, 80 to 90%. Like, it's not just that we've shifted down and the results are also shifted down. No, the results have stayed up here, and Google understands this. So now when you do a search, you actually have to physically scroll to see most of these search engine results, like the traditional SEO stuff. So now if you're even number one on traditional SEO, you're again fighting for the scraps. And it's really important to realize that this shift has happened, that Google understands that when someone is looking for a local service business, that users are going to find it more valuable, that they can see where that business is in relation to them. So it's not some practice that is 3 cities away. And also they can see reviews. So let's get into local SEO. So basically my conclusion with SEO is that it is a very popular, it's still being perpetuated and people are still promoting it. Why? I think there's 2 reasons. One, it's old industries, old marketing agencies. That's all they do and they need to survive. So they're basically convincing you that yes, this is a strategy that still works. And 2, there's people who did very well with the old strategy. They built their practices on this. So those doctors will promote that idea to you. And if you ask them, hey, how did you grow your practice? They'd say, it was just a focus on SEO. It really works. And they have the best intentions. They want you to help you grow. But here's the thing, they don't see how the landscape has changed. You know, they're doctors first, not marketers. So with the best intentions, they tell you how they managed to make it work. Yeah, so those are the two reasons why this is being perpetuated. But my conclusion is that SEO, as we knew it before 2016 and 2018, is very much not a strategy you want to rely on. Does that mean you should neglect 10 to 20% of the traffic? Absolutely not. Like, if you want to, go have your SEO, go like handle that. Make sure your on-page content is good. Make sure you get some backlinks. Make sure you get your local citations. Like, this is very easy stuff to take care of, though. Like, it's very easy to catch up when it comes to SEO. So what I'm proposing is that you stop making this a growth strategy, and instead of think of it more as a way to handle the bases. Like, just make sure you're covered. But then again, even down here, it's going to be so competitive. Cities, three cities over, are going to be competing with you for these placements. So don't be surprised if you don't get many results from SEO. All right, we stopped even showing SEO reports in our report because it was just noise. Like, you saw all the keywords you were ranking for, you saw how many impressions that created, and so on. But at the end of the day, it didn't generate any results. So we said, okay, let's shift our focus to the ones that are bringing results, and let's let our clients also focus on those, so that they're not always worried about the thing that doesn't really work anymore. Okay, so we shift to local SEO. With the introduction of Google Places, local SEO starts becoming a very big consideration. And now this has replaced traditional SEO. So how do you win the game of local SEO? There's going to be three factors. Two of which are kind of outside of your control, and one that is within your control. So let's look at this. Category, or maybe I'll do it like this. Category, reviews, and location. And some of the, to a lesser degree, some of the stuff that carries over from traditional SEO. So if your website is all about dental implants, then you're likely going to rank a bit higher when it comes to someone searching for dental implants near them. But it's not as big of an influence as it was back then. So I don't really consider it a strategy for local SEO either, because they introduced categories. So now, instead of being able to hyper optimize for a specific keyword, Google is basically saying, all right, we have a fixed number of categories. Now you just have to label yourself as one. And so if someone searches dental implants La Habra, it's going to trigger a category. It's not really going to trigger your website. It'll be a tiny boost, but it's so negligible that I don't even consider it as one of these. So what's really important is that you set your category right. There's a lot of people categorizing themselves as a dental clinic, when what I recommend you categorize yourself instead is a dentist, because people are looking for the dentist. Not like the person itself, but dental clinic might be more of like a hospital or corporate. You can look into the specifics yourselves, but dentist is generally what I recommend you categorize yourself as, and what Google recommends you categorize yourself as well. So this is kind of fixed. If you're a dentist, you're a dentist. If you're an orthodontist, you're an orthodontist. You can't really influence that except by, I don't know, getting a specialty, right? And also location is fixed. Where you are in relation to the searcher is going to impact your ranking here. So if I'm right next to your office, if I'm 0.1 miles away, and I do a search on my phone, or on my desktop somehow, like you might have noticed this. You might have noticed Google ask for your location if you're on a desktop. If you're on a phone, Google probably already has your location. But that's going to be a massive influence in where you show up in this positioning thing, right? This is fluid now. This isn't the old ways where it was just who won. This is fluid, depending on where they are. So category is fixed, so let's stop worrying about this. Also, your location, your office is fixed. So let's stop worrying about this as well. And now it comes down to reviews. But real quick, let me talk about location one more time. It's really important to understand that when you do a search from somewhere else, you might get different results than if you do a search in a different location. So no one has the answer. No one knows what you rank at a specific location. The best we can do is we can get approximations. So there's a lot of tools out there that will say, hey, here is your map. Here is your office. And there are tools that say if a user is here, your rank is going to be, let's say, position 4. And if a user is here, let's say your position is 1. And if a user is here, for some reason, let's say your position is 2. Maybe there's just more competitors around this area, right? But again, these are all approximations. We can't really know. But how do you influence how high and low your local SEO is? And that's going to come down to reviews. This is the one leverage that you have. Besides paying for ads, you can also pay for ads, and we'll come back to advertising later. So let's say here is a special case. You can run ads, and you can actually show up at the top for people who have ads. Again, reviews take a while to generate. All this stuff take a while to generate. So even back then, SEO took a while to generate. But Google as a platform always lets you take the shortcut by paying ads. It's like at Disneyland, if you pay the extra for the Genie Pass or whatever it's called, you get to cut the line. That's just the nature of the platform. And what you'll realize later is that this platform Google has become so gigantic that they're okay with making the people on that platform, the businesses on that platform, reliant on ads. Like they try to make this, if you pay Google, you will get all the advantages. You will actually see results as a result of paying ads. That's how much control and influence Google has, and they know it. So what my conclusion later that I'll go into detail more if I remember to, is that the platform as a whole is shifting so that the advertisers are the one that are going to be winning at the end of the day. As a quick side note before I go back to reviews, there's more advertisers today than ever, right? You can pull out your phone, you can go on Instagram, you can pay $5, you can boost a post, you're an advertiser now. So what happens if you get a platform where you have more advertisers than ever? Now, let's say your margin was $1,000. You get a patient, they'll bring you $1,000. All right. What if that platform charged you $999? All right. If you don't want to pay it, great. Guess what? There's other advertisers now who will be happy to pay that to make $1. So we've gotten to this point where there's so many advertisers that Google and Facebook as platforms are comfortable charging ridiculous amounts to reduce your margin because they know at the end of the day, someone else would be happy to pay it. So this is what happens when advertising platforms get basically full market penetration of all the businesses that want to grow on that platform. But there is a silver lining. There is a way to leave this approach, this ecosystem that is getting worse and worse. And I'll talk about that at the end of the video. But okay, ads. Let's say for one reason or another, you're not going to be looking at ads for improving your local SEO. We'll look at ads after. But let's say for this moment, you're not. How do you gain an advantage here? It's going to be reviews, right? The number of stars that you get, the quantity of stars that you get. Now, people caught onto this maybe around 4 or 5 years ago, right around 2020 when they realized that, okay, SEO has fundamentally shifted. Now we have to go into local SEO. What are the key performance indicators? Or no, what's like the driving metrics when it comes to increasing local SEO? And we quickly found that it was reviews. So people started started obsessing reviews. Dental offices are obsessed with getting reviews, and we're starting to see the same shift happening again, where now from reviews, it's shifting to ads. But let me explain. Back in SEO, content and backlinks were the way you got a competitive advantage, and you would pay for that. You would pay for an agency to build you content, or you would pay for them to go out and buy you backlinks. Now what's happening? Review incentives. Now offices are incentivizing the people themselves to leave positive reviews. And the sentiment is growing among consumers, among potential patients, that Google reviews are being inflated. The same issues that created Yelp as an industry to come up is creating Yelp as an industry to become a more trusted source. There's a reason we don't do Yelp, and what they haven't figured out yet is Yelp hasn't really figured out how to target by psychography or user intent. Well, they have, but I just don't think that's their business model, so they don't engage with it that way. So Google and Yelp are different in that sense. In Yelp, you're looking for specific categories. In Google, you're looking for a specific intent. All right, so in Yelp, it's like, all right, dentists, it's gonna show dentists. In Google, it's dentist, but with an intent, like how much is dentistry, right? That's the different intent than just like finding local. So that's how Google and Yelp are a bit different. And so when it comes to Yelp, now it's a bit difficult to get a competitive advantage because you can't target based on intents. But that's a different conversation we could have. So anyway, Google is looking at reviews and saying, all right, dental practices are looking at reviews and saying, all right, how can we beat the game of local SEO and just boost how many reviews we get? So they engage in giving out Starbucks gift cards. They engage in, if you leave a review, you can spin the wheel of fortune. They engage in automations that remind people, email and texts, so you can get a review. All right, so this has been this has been the strategy. And if you do get a certain number of reviews, then yeah, you do climb up. But Google's realizing that this is a toxic system itself. So there is a huge cap, there is a huge diminishing return when it comes to the amount of reviews you have. Because what's the purpose of reviews for Google? It's two things. It's one, can I trust this business and can I show it to the users? And two, can users trust this? But again, we go back to the idea that users are growing distrustful of Google reviews because they see how incentivized it is. They go into a restaurant and they see that, okay, I can get a free drink if I leave a Google review. And so this is it's coming back to bite us in the foot. The activities that we've been doing to generate more reviews. And so it's becoming a less of an indicator. So an office from Florida reached out to me asking me to help them with their local SEO and advertising and stuff like that. And when I looked at the competition in Florida, so I'm in California and I see what's going on in California most of the times. And when I looked at Florida, oh my God, to be a dental office there, the minimum was 1,000 5-star reviews. The aggression they have with reviews is crazy. Their focus on and fixation on this thing is so insanely hyperfixated, but they don't realize that, okay, this is a diminishing return. At some point, you're not gonna, you fulfilled to Google that, okay, Google can trust you as a business. And to a certain point, users, they've understood, they got it. They get it, all right? We can trust you. You don't have to incentivize and push for so many reviews. We understand as humans that if there's a dental office and they have 10,000 reviews or even 2,000 reviews, there's something fishy going on there, all right? So let's maybe also take the pedal off the reviews. Maybe after you reach around 200 or 300 reviews, I think you're more than good enough when it comes to reviews. All right, so let's look at a next strategy. And as I go on, I'll kind of talk, I'm gonna cover more and more effective strategies. The next one is going to be, let's see if you can guess it while I erase this stuff. The next one is social media. Now, how social media fits into the bigger picture of marketing is largely misunderstood. And I think the ones who get it can really benefit from it, but the ones who don't get it, it's just another thing to do for you. It's just going to be another hassle that you're going to be engaging with. And it's going to be very frustrating because you're going to be doing all this content, acting a certain way in front of the camera and not seeing the results. So let me see if I can break this down for you. Fundamentally, social media exists as a platform for virality. If social media as a platform can have good content that a lot of people like, then the social media platform does very well. So what it's looking for and what it rewards is viral content that is for the masses. Content that is not for the location around you, that is across America, even across international, right? So here is the audience that, let's say this is your office in the center right here, and this is the radius around your office of, let's say like 10 miles, just throwing it out there. It's just people who are most likely to visit your practice. And then we have the social media audience. So this is the audience that you seek to engage, you seek to influence. But then this is social media. It's a completely different audience. And the wrong approach is to say that I'm going to use social media to get an audience into my office. It's conflicting interests. Social media wants virality. You want locality. All right? So if you engage with social media with the intent of bringing people into your office, you're going to have a bad time. It can work, but you're going to have to go way, way, way at scale. You're going to have to become a social media influencer first and then a dentist second in order to see results. Dentist is a great example. This is a guy who has made social media his main thing. Like, he probably makes more going on tours talking about social media. I've seen him on tour, he's great. But like, he's made social media his main thing, right? If you want to make social media your main thing, go ahead. But that's not most practice owners. If you are in the game of trying to grow your practice and not your social media following, then you have to engage with social media differently. You have to understand that your audience, again, there's a conflict of interest between what social media wants as an audience and what you want as an audience. But what social media can benefit you from is that everyone uses social media. Everyone sees what you post. These people here, they can go on and see how you're engaging with the rest of the audience. All right, so social media becomes a tool for building trust. It becomes a way for people to see you beyond the limits of your website. Your website has to be structured. It can't be crazy. It can't be, there has to be some linearity to convey information in a way that's digestible. And social media, you can kind of break the rules a bit. You can kind of show up in a different way that is a bit less professional, that is a bit more human. And if you can use social media in that manner, it becomes very effective. Because now, all these people who are in a radius around you, when they're in the comparison mode, when they're looking around for a dentist, social media becomes a determining point. Now, a method I propose is, like, you don't have to engage this way either. There's other ways to build trust. If you don't want to get a TikTok account, and if you don't want to build trust using social media, there's so many other ways to do that, that this is just an option for you. But if you understand and engage with it as a way of people building a human connection, then you'll do very well, even if you don't have a lot of followers. All right, so let's stop obsessing these metrics unless you want to be an influencer. Stop obsessing the metrics of views. Stop obsessing the number of followers, the number of likes and subscribes. That's going to be independent of a human connection. Like, I can see you making content. I don't care that you have 15 followers. I can still connect with you. All right, so that's going to be the new approach of social media. Basically, what I'm saying, I missed an L here. Basically, my conclusion and what I'm trying to promote is don't see social media as like you have to build all this attention and awareness on it, because it's separate. It's not going to lead to much of this at all. All right. What's next? Give me a guess. Next is actually going to be Google Ads. All right, so advertising is also in a weird spot, as I mentioned. The number of people who want to advertise, the number of people who have something to say now and have a microphone, like you could pay Google $5 to get that microphone. The number of people who exist to run ads is through the roof. Back then, if you wanted to run ads, you had to go through an ad agency, you had to pay them a lot of money, and they would maybe accept working with you. But now everyone is an advertiser and everyone has something to say. And so Google ads and also Facebook ads. All right, spoiler, Facebook ads is next. Facebook, or Meta as they're now known. And when I say Meta, I mean Facebook and Instagram, because they're one parent company. So now people go to Google ads and Facebook ads. Everyone has something to say. And so they have market penetration. If you want to advertise your dog clothing, if you want to advertise your dental office, if you want to advertise whatever it is, you're going to go to them. Like these are now the powerful ad agencies that you would pay a lot of money to back then, but now it's just a more open and inviting area. Every day they make it easier for people to advertise. Like back to the story of just boosting a post on Instagram. Now if you try to run Google ads, back in the day you had to know what you were doing. But now they try to get AI to set everything up for you. So they're trying to decrease the barrier of entry for people to become advertisers, and it's working very well. And so we have this, so that's the first phenomenon. More advertisers than ever, and as a result, advertising is getting costlier than ever. Recall back to the margins, where if your margin is $1,000, now they'll happily charge you $999. Back then, when they were trying to get market penetration, they didn't look for profit. They were eagerly, if your margin was $1,000, they said, hey, you can run that ad on our platform for $40, and we'll get it out there. And it worked because they were trying to get people to see how good their advertising platform was and to get all the market to engage in that. Now they have it. Google is about 27 years old. They're fully matured. They're charging an arm and a leg now if you want to make profit there. All right, sorry, I rambled on long about that. Number two, rules and regulations. So in the past, you could also do a lot of tracking. You could see exactly what people doing were, how they were engaging with the ads, and you can do all these tracking. And then iOS 15 came along, and this was back around 2015, where it gutted tracking. Privacy laws went through the roof. HIPAA laws started being more concerned about digital marketing, online marketing. And so our ability to track became very impacted. Why is tracking so important? Well, if you run an ad and it works well, it resonates with people and it gets them to take action and come to you as a practice, at some point, the only people left are those that didn't resonate with that ad. So what you have to do, or what you have to have your agency do, is to go and find a new ad that works, that resonates with people in a different way. How do you know if an ad's resonating with people? You have to track. You have to tweak something. You have to track, does that improve or decrease the results? And you do that constantly, consistently tracking, iterating, until you find something that resonates at scale. And because of all these regulations, our ability to find better ads that work have really been reduced. All right, so that's effect. Number one was increasing costs because there's more advertisers than ever. Number two is decreasing effectiveness of advertising. And what's number three? It's going to be the market itself. The people that we advertise to, they are more skeptical and more doubtful than ever of promotions, of things being pushed at them. If you go to a Black Friday sale, you see something that's 70% off, you kind of doubt that. Now you wonder, did they double the price and then take 70% off, so it's actually like only like 20% off? You know, you get the idea. Like we've become very skeptical because people have relied on advertising for so long that, sorry, there's something in front of me, that other marketers, shameless marketers, have put it upon themselves to create fake advertising, fake promotions, fake claims, you know, and that's come again full circle to bite us in the foot or the butt or whatever you want to say it. So 52% of Americans have some sort of ad blocker. You can look this up as well. People don't want to be shouted at anymore. It turns out that all those algorithmic feeds of platforms tracking your interests and showing you things are unnerving. It's kind of annoying, and we don't like that. And as these platforms have penetrated the market, and as their influence has grown, there's been a resistance to that influence. There's been whole industries of, Google ad block recently. Like there's a war going on with people who want to avoid advertising and advertising platforms who want to keep people in their control. Google does this by increasing how reliant people are on their platforms. And on those platforms, they force ads. So for example, YouTube, people are very much reliant on YouTube for their entertainment. There's other options, but you get the idea. And if you want to watch YouTube now, you have to run into these ads. But there's this counterinsurgency of people who don't believe that, who want to live an ad-free lifestyle, and they're fighting this war. They're, like, you might know, like YouTube revanced. It's a way to watch YouTube on your Android phone, Android superiority phone, without ads. You might know ad block that was on Google Chrome that was recently removed. Now you can't block ads. So there was this huge movement of people migrating to Firefox, where you can get uBlock Origin, and then Brave browser comes in, and now it blocks all ads, right? You get the idea. The market doesn't want to be yelled at anymore. It wants to avoid, or it actually annoys them when you engage in this level of advertising and shouting at someone. So all right, I went on this long ramble, but you have to understand that the landscape is shifting. Just like SEO shifted to local SEO, and local SEO is also shifting to advertising because of our abuse with reviews, advertising is also shifting because our abuse with claims, our abuse with promotions, and our abuse of intrusion of privacy, right? You probably have some sort of ad blocking yourself, yet we're going to engage with people and assume that, you know, they want to hear from us. It's not how it works, unfortunately. All right, so that's my spiel on ads. If I wanted to go into it, let's say the limitations of ads beyond that it's eroding in effectiveness because we're talking to an audience that no longer wants to hear us using a platform that's getting costlier with methods that are getting more ineffective and inefficient with regulations. Beyond that, Google ads and Facebook ads serves to connect you with people who are shopping around. They're looking for options, and at the end of the day, it's going to come down to your offer, price, competition. It's not a high quality lead. Like, this was so stressed back in the day. We want to make sure we get high quality leads. You probably get emails saying like, hey, we're not just going to serve you leads, we're going to serve you leads that actually show up. That's a myth, unfortunately. I wish I could have done that, and I pushed hard to try that. We tried every angle. We've compared what we did with what other agencies do. It's a myth. The idea of being able to, the most you can do is back to the idea of intent. You can target people who have high intent. You can target people who are highly qualified, but that's going to be the extent. What else can you do? Once you get to that point, then like you have to engage with all that price competition and things like that. Because it's fundamentally flawed because of that, because of the effects I was talking about, now you get a situation where people come in from Facebook ads or Google ads, you deal with no-shows, They come in and now you have to like push and pull to get them to accept treatment. It happens because we're engaging in a different landscape. We're engaging in ways where we can't get so specific anymore. And so, yeah, by far, ads are the most effective. These platforms have done a lot of work to make sure that advertisers are happy and they're going to stay using their platform. So if you want to scale, if you want to get new patients at scale, if you want to be able to do something that influences the amount of patients you get next month, it's going to be ads. Again, you can't grow with social media. You can only build trust, existing trust on what you already have. So if you find yourself low on trust, then yeah, do some social media, build trust like that, or trust in other ways, and you'll find that you get more new patients because you had a number of people who were already aware of you in your area. Local SEO, you can't push as far because at some point, like reviews get diminishing returns and location is fixed. So even if you have 2,000 reviews, you're not going to show up 2 or 3 cities over. So yeah, advertising is now the only way to grow at will. Like if you want more new patients next month, this is the only real leverage that you have. But there is a silver lining that I mentioned, and that is going to be the permission asset. Permission marketing is a philosophy. It's a concept created by Seth Godin, this guy. I also have a video with him on my channel if you want to check it out. But he pioneered this idea, and the reason this exists is based on two phenomena, or one phenomena, which is comprised of 2 parts. The phenomena is that it's cheaper or it's more expensive than ever to get someone who doesn't want to listen to me, or sorry, it's more expensive than ever to get someone who doesn't want to listen to you to listen. So let's say I'm here and you want to say something to me. It's going to be very expensive now. Back in the day, sure, you had to put a lot up front, but you reached millions of people because there were only a few channels and a few advertisers. But now there's more advertisers than ever, and you're dealing with me, a listener who doesn't want to listen to you, who has ad blocks, who is leaving social media and the digital ecosystem to live a more analog lifestyle because we don't like algorithms controlling our attention. Right? It's more expensive than ever to get someone who doesn't want to listen. But at the same time, it's cheaper than ever to get someone who wants to listen to listen. You can pay $20,000 a month to advertise to a group of people and get some results. And you could also pay $100 a month, not advertising, but instead doing something like MailChimp and get the same results, $100 a month versus $20,000 a month. Because if you built a permission asset, a base of people who want to listen to you, they give you the privilege of sending them information. So I would give you the privilege of sending me information that I want to hear, that I wait for, and I expect and want. Then you have created a permission asset. But this is something that takes a long time. It requires building an audience. It requires understanding marketing psychology, it requires creating a profile of people that you intend to serve, of how they want to be treated, of what kind of things they look for. It requires empathy and understanding all this so that you can finally deliver something that they want. All right? It's completely different. But this is the new path forward. Podcasters, think of Joe Rogan. Love him or hate him, he recently did a deal with Spotify where they paid him $250 million for his audience, right? So that they paid him $250 million so that he would release his podcast episodes, only some of them exclusively on Spotify. And that's crazy until you realize that he had 10 million active listeners. This wasn't 10 million people that he was advertising to or like bothering them to listen. that was his permission asset. 10 million people wanting to listen to him. And so he said, okay, hey, if you get my content on Spotify, Mr. Spotify, then you also get 10 million active listeners. And so what really happened was Spotify was paying $25 per listener to be able to market at them for several years. So when you look at it from that lens, it makes a lot of sense. But it took him a long time to build his permission asset. Now, when he wants to talk to his permission asset, like, it costs him virtually nothing. He records an episode, he probably pays for some editing, he probably pays a bit to email people, I don't know. But you get the idea. This is true leverage. Like, I'm sure he played an influential role in the previous election because of his permission asset. That's how strong things can get. Yet, email marketing is very similar. It's not necessarily email marketing. Email marketing can be permission asset if it's with the person's interest in mind. Typically, it's not done that way. Email marketing is heavily abused. But it's the closest to permission marketing, yet it's so, no one really focuses on it. I've worked with so many dental offices and I've seen one that leveraged email marketing and they were abusing it, right? So we really lost touch with what it means to engage with people and connect as humans, not as treating people like a metric or as something to have a competitive advantage over. All right, so these are the new patient strategies. These are what people are doing. From here up are the most impactful stuff. I forgot to mention, why is Facebook Meta, Facebook and IG, do I consider it more effective than Google Ads? So all my clients see this, and this is because we do what's called remarketing. So Google, Facebook and Instagram, the limitation is that it's hard to connect with people's intent. Google, you get the intent, you get what they're searching for. If they're searching for orthodontist near me, braces near me, you know what their intent is. Facebook and IG, you can't really do that. So we connect with them on Google Ads first. We get their intent, and then we do remarketing. We put a cookie in their browser, and as long as that browser shows up on Facebook or Instagram, they're gonna be seeing ads. So the cost per conversion here, cost per acquisition, is around 50% lower. So if you're paying around $200 for acquisition here, this can be anywhere from like $70 to like $130. Anyway, so that's why I put this a bit as more effective. So these are what people are doing. This is what I would recommend for you if you did it as well. Kind of like ignore SEO, traditional SEO. Take care of local SEO. Make sure you get those reviews. Make sure you're emphasizing them. I would highly discourage you create incentives. Google has been cracking down on incentivized reviews and it's wiping out hundreds of reviews at a time. Social media, if you aren't building trust, so if you aren't doing the things like photography, having someone come and take photos of you in a way where people can see your face and engage with you and see what your office actually looks like. If you aren't putting photos up on Google Business Profile, Yelp, and all that, then social media can be a great way to build trust. All right. And then Google Ads, yeah, this is, again, if you want leverage, if you want to be able to influence the number of people you get coming into your office, this is going to be Google and Facebook. And what I really recommend you start doing now is start building this permission asset. Look into permission advertising or permission marketing, sorry. Look into permission marketing, see what it's all about. I think I have a video on it, go check it out. You need to start building this because, again, we're dealing with a system that is getting worse, talking to people who don't want to hear us and want to hear us less and less. And the way for us to create something that resonates with them is getting worse and worse, more difficult to do. So this is this future-proofs you and also improves the amount of, or the ROI of your marketing. All right, so I say all this, and this is new patient strategies in a nutshell. But there is another thing I have to tell you, that we as a dental industry have focused way too much on new patient acquisition. I don't want this for you. I don't want you to have to go and do all this work. You can if you want to. You can join the other people who are. But what I'm trying to do for my clients is to get them off of new patient advertising, new patient marketing, new patient acquisition, right? And that sounds crazy, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to get them towards word of mouth referrals. We're trying to get it so that they don't have to do all this stuff. That people who experience their practice will enjoy it so much, create an experience so enjoyable, or so meaningful rather, it doesn't have to be enjoyable per se, but so meaningful that they can't help but refer their friends, family, and people who know that would like dentistry done that way. Now that is a very complex process and a very complex idea, but just I want to plant the seed in your head because I wanted to show you that it's a possibility. It doesn't require a lot of investment, but it requires one shift, one fundamental shift at how we look at marketing. And so that's going to be to stop focusing on new patient acquisition so much and start focusing more broadly on word of mouth marketing. Make word of mouth marketing your new patient acquisition strategy. And when you can do that, now you don't have to do all this work. You don't have to pay agencies. You don't have to pay for advertising all the time. And what it's going to force you to do is expand what you see as marketing. Because when we focus on new patient strategies, marketing becomes mostly visibility. But when you expand the goal to be word of mouth marketing, now marketing becomes the work of designing every element of your practice in service of the people you seek to serve. And when you can do that designing with intention and coherence, then you create meaning. And coherence is very important because right now what's happening is practice owners will build something that they find meaningful, that they find joy in, but it's not an empathetic approach, unfortunately, because you are too unique. Your wants, your needs, what you find meaningful is too unique. So the alternative approach that I'm trying to advocate for is that you create with a specific persona in mind, a group of people who believe certain things and create for them. And when you do, now they come and experience your practice and now you create meaning. I saw this video recently of a bus driver and someone started drawing this bus driver. Like he drew his face on this like receipt, a ticket receipt. And he gives it to the bus driver and you can see on the bus driver's face, like his face lights up, like he has to go sit down because he's so emotionally touched. And that's meaningful. He goes out and then he shows his other bus driver friends his photo, and the other bus driver friends start smiling, and and this connection happens, this human connection happens. And that's what's possible when we create meaning, when we focus on meaning and word of mouth and things and creating experiences for other people. That's possible. And so back to coherence, we lack coherence. So we build something for ourselves, and when people come to engage with it, it's incoherent to them, to what they believe. They see something that aligns, so it draws them in. Then they see something else that is out of alignment because it was meaningful to you and not them. And so at the end of the day, it's kind of, there's still a bit of confusion, there's still a bit of lack of meaning, and now you're asking them to trust you and move forward, accept the treatment. And there wasn't that alignment, so now we have to focus on sales tactics, how to optimize the moment instead of doing the work of creating better moments, creating more alignment and cohesion so that when they sit at your chair, they're more aligned, they're more willing and trusting, and they've found more meaning already, right? We haven't done that work, and that work is available for you. All right, so hope you found this video valuable. What I would recommend you do now is I'll put the course in the link in the description below. I think it's important for me to share. So the course I have is the work of creating a practice like that, a practice that becomes remarkable, a practice where you can grow with word of mouth. So I invite you to check it out. It's completely free. There's no upsells. There's no profit in this for me. I'm only doing it because I worked with a client, didn't get him the results I promised him. That left an impression on me, and I swore that I would create conditions where clients wouldn't have to experience that if they came to work with me. So I urge you to check it out. Create a practice that is meaningful for you and the people you seek to serve. grow with word of mouth. Do this in the short term to prop yourself up. Do the work of becoming meaningful for a group of people. Connect with them with awareness and attention, and then see your practice take off as you become a true need because you provide meaning, not just dentistry. All right, thanks.